All right, someone says it's hello world. Wow, that early. Welcome, welcome, welcome. My name is Topman Paul-Dike, and with me here is um go ahead,
Aisha. Hello,
Aisha.
everyone. I'm Aisha.
All right, that's my
Aisha
partner.
Mabaye.
That's my partner. Call that again. Aisha what?
Mabayeje.
Mabayoje. Whoa, Mabayoje. All right, so talk to us. I'm asking everyone in the call, at what point did you get so scared? Did it look hard for you? Someone said hello world. Josh. That's the icebreaker. So I'm waiting for some more responses. What particular concept in C did you meet and then felt confused and felt like, it's like this is not understandable. It's like this is bigger than me. You know, what part? More responses, please. I'm going to share my screen right now. Um, Someone says, teach me like a newbie. Of course, that's why we're here. That's why we're here. That's interesting. Uh, that's why we're here, of course. We learn together. So let's do some newbie stuff. I believe my screen is shared now. Uh, this is doable, right? Doable. So tonight we talk about return values and we'll talk about verdict functions. I'm going to be as fast as I can be, but not too fast to have you understand it. So return value. What is a return value? Let's move it from the let's start from the known to the unknown. I want to believe that you know this part where you can let me make a directory. I'll call this one return value. I'm gonna move into it. I'm gonna create a file. I'll call it return. Let's see. Okay. Of course, we'll have to have this here. Getting some feedback. What am I doing? Okay, I think I need to get this instruction off. My WhatsApp is on, so go. Right, you go. Okay. All right, so int main voice. So let's see. Let's declare two variables. Let's see int num1 equals 2, and then another variable int num2 equals 3. And now let's say printf. So percentage and the new line. This is let's say sum of numbers. All right. So here I want to declare a new variable. I choose to use sum of numbers because sum is rampart, result is rampart. So just to make you understand that it could be any name you give it. Right. Sum of numbers equals num1 plus num2. All right. Then I come here and say, this statement. I've not done anything strange yet, have I? I believe you're all following. So if I close this, save it, and run it, we're expecting this program to add this and this, right? And give us the result. That's supposed to be 5. Let's go. So GCC. By the way, please, this command here, this is a custom command for me. I use it to call my Emacs. So don't be like the way you type Emacs and type the name of a file. That's what this E is doing here. So please don't mind me. It's nothing too strange, right? So let me GCC the file, return.c. I want the output to be saved as return. And cannot find GCC. What am I doing? Tap it twice. All right, so it works. That is the green color executable file. So if I say print this, it prints 5, right? So you understand how that works. Now, if I decide not to have these guys here, to have a function that does this, and say the function returns int, and the name of the function is add 2. It takes 2 variables, 2 arguments, int A and int B, and all I want it to do for me is to return the sum of A and B, and close this block of code and come here and call that function. Now, I wouldn't need this guy. I can comfortably comment off these guys, turn all of this to a comment because I wouldn't need them again. So I'll end the comment here, multi-line comments. So I can now come and say, if I now come and say add 2, watch this closely, and give it the value, let's say 23 and 1. Give these values. You discover that nothing will happen. By the way, this printf is not doing any work here. Nothing will happen. Let me show what I mean by nothing will happen. I'll save this, I'll minimize, and I'll compile this again. So it compiled very well. No error, right? The file is there. So if I run that executable, it ran successfully, but nothing came out. So long as you're not using printf, nothing comes up. We are only returning the value, and the only way we can catch it is to save it inside a variable. So I can say int, let's say sum is equal to this. That way, it will be saved inside sum. And having saved it inside the variable sum, I can now come here and print it out. And say, go and print what is inside sum. Sum. So if I come here, compile again, and run it again, it says 24. Remember, I gave it 23 and 1. That is return value for you. I could choose to go into the function and say, hey, I don't want you to return this. I want you to rather, in fact, let me cut this off. Let me cut this off, yeah. Q, and come here and yank it. Let's sit here. And so I want you to print, let's say, this, and I want this to be A plus B. Add A and B here. I hope I'm not confusing anybody. Add A and B here. And then let's say return, let me say feedback. Watch this. And I come here and say feedback is some string, and it is equal to, hope I'm doing not very magical. It's being recorded, you can watch it later. Done. Okay. Are we good? Of course, I need to have this, otherwise I'm looking for trouble. Let's say 20. Let's just say 20. Okay. Everything. Okay, let's see what happens. If I now call that function again without saving it inside a variable like this, watch what happens. So I want to comment off this line because I don't need it now. I don't want to indent this one properly. I will save. So let me change the number just to be sure it worked. I'll change it to 20 and 1. So it gives us 21 if it worked, right? So let's minimize. Let's compile again. There's an error there. What's up? What's your error? Oh, my return type. I did not state the return type. So if I'm doing this, I have to change it that hello, you're not returning it again, right? You're returning a character pointer right now. That means you're returning a string, kind of. So return this for me, right? And I'll put this here. Save it. Now let's see if this works. So I'll compile again. What is the matter here? Function returns address of local variable. Add to return to okay. When a function returns address of local variable, return feedback. So must I save it? Okay, so let me find and see I can get this done. Okay, so let me just do what I had here before.
It's the warning it used to give when you're if whenever you try to return strings like that, there's a local variable. So you can just make it void, make it return void instead.
Okay.
It's a warning, it will still work, but that does not like you returning a local string unless
Oh,
you make.
interesting. So it means my program will still work. 21. Okay, thank you very much for the information. Okay, that. So that means this guy is not happy with us returning a string. It's okay. I don't care. Let it be unhappy. So now I want to return. I want to save it inside here. I want to save what is the return value inside this place, right? And print it as well. Okay, I copied something like this. Okay. So print percentage s. Let me just call this r value. R val. And see, come on. Here's where r val. Okay, now we're good. I think we're good. Let's check these figures so that we'll be sure it works. Can be sure it works. So I'll keep 10 here and I'll keep 3 here. So we'll have 13 if it worked. Okay, so if I minimize again and try to compile this, let me expect that warning again. It's actually the first time I'm trying to return a string from that's locally declared in this kind of variable. I don't know, maybe I've done that before. So let's run it. I'll clear the screen and I'll run it return. Uh-oh. I think I can handle that. Go off. So see. All right, so let's compile again. What, are you angry now? Invalid initializer. Oh, I am doing something strange. You see, wow. What is strange? You see, let me stop that. Nice is fighting to this is more than I wanted this time. Let me take this off. Let's say we are returning 10. I think this is better. But you get it. I'm doing everything live before you. I did not rehearse before coming. I did not I'm doing everything live before, so we are learning together, right? Let's do the errors and whatever, everything. So now I'm going to change this now to int. Of course, I'll change it up there as well. So let's have int rval. But at the end of the day, I will drive home the point I'm trying to drive home. We have to change this to int as well because now we're returning integer again. I just want to return the number 10. Why? It does not make sense, right? But I want to show you something about return value. Okay, I think we're good to go. So watch here. I am adding 10 and 3. So I expect you to give me 13. But as I'm returning 10, just to show you that return value is different from what you're expecting to print out. Return value it does not mean what you want to print out or something. Okay, so it's what your function is returning. So let's see if this works well this time. Clear the screen. I don't like simple function like this. So let's compile that file again. No, nice, wrong. What's up? It's just a car inside there. I use percentage s somewhere. So when you see errors like this, don't be scared of it. Just read them. Okay, are we good now? Let's try. So compare without error. Finally, this is the addition of 13. Addition of 10 and 3, 13. This is the return value 10. I will do one more thing before I hand over to my partner. One more thing, just one more. Let's change the number there. We're adding now. I want us to add 20 and 10. Right? 20 here and 10 here. So it will give us 30, right? See whether see what we print as a return value. Let me just add the string inside here. And say return value. So return var like this. So let's go back. Minimize, compile again. I think I want to clear this screen a bit. And then run that executable file again. You see now that it is adding 10 and 20 and it's giving us 30. And it's returning something else. Just be able to differentiate between what you're printing out to the standard output and what you're returning. If I didn't print it out, I wouldn't have seen it. In fact, if I didn't save it inside this variable, there's no way I would have gotten this return value. The function will do its thing. So printf itself that you're trying to rewrite, implement, has its return value as well. Well, let's talk about variadic function. Just know, if you want to know what printf returns, when you're printing something out, like I have here, save it inside a variable. How does I know it's int? Look at the prototype of printf. You know, the way I have this here and I have int as the return value. Look at the prototype of printf by doing man printf and see what it is. So if you save this thing rval inside here and then try to print out what is inside this rval, I'm talking about assuming this line was off. Assuming this line was off, and you save. Okay. Let's leave it there and change this one to rval2. So if you save this inside here and try to use another printf to print out what is inside here, then you will see what printf returns. Try it. It's your assignment. Just try it. By the way, it's not hard to find out what it returns. Just do man. You see man2 or man what now? I think it's man2 printf. Printf. It's man3. Okay, so it's man3, right? So you see, as printf returns an integer, right? Okay, so I'll stop here and hand over to my partner to take us on variadic function. I'll stop sharing. If you have any questions, please hold on. At the end, we have enough time to answer your questions. Thank you very much, Aisha.
Okay, thank you, Topman. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, so I'm going to share my screen now. Okay, so now I am going to talk about variadic functions because this project they're asking you to write your own printf function, and that means they want you to write something that is similar to the built-in printf function. The built-in printf function is a variadic function, so that means your own function has to be a variadic function. There's no way you can try to copy the built-in function without making yours a variadic function. So I'm just going to take you through the basics of how to write your own variadic function. So this is just a simple code, an online compiler. To do this, I am going to use a simple example. I'm going to use a sum function, a function that returns the sum of numbers. So even forgetting variadic functions, like just normally, if you want to write a function that returns the sum of numbers, you need to write the header, the function header. So it returns an integer. The name of the function is sum. And let's say you wanted to add, I don't know, four numbers. Let's say three, int A, int B, int C. So you just say return A plus B plus Right, that's all you have to do. If you want to be fancy, you can do something like this and return sum and just say int sum is equal to, yeah, and this is going to return the sum of numbers. Let's test that. In the main function, I can just print %d and call the sum function here with three numbers. Let's say 1, 2, and 3. So if I run this, it should give 1 plus 2 plus 3 is 6. So will be useless. So I added one more number now. If I try to run this, calling the sum function with four numbers, I would get an error. It says too many arguments to function sum. And that's not really versatile. That that's just how you set up your periodic function. First, you have to define a VA list, name it whatever you want. I'm naming it ads here, and it's going to contain everything that set a pointer to point to the parameter that is immediately after the count. Looking here at this function call, the count is 3 ARG. What the VARG does is that it picks the number that that pointer is pointing to, returns it, and then moves the pointer to the next parameter. That's what the VARG does. So what this would do would be, I said the pointer is pointing to 1 now. So it will pick that 1 and return it and move the pointer to point to 2. And then it keeps doing this the total number of times you call it. Like the first time you call it, it will pick 1, return 1, move to 2. The next time, it will pick 2, return 2, move to 3. And you should know that it keeps doing this until you ask it to stop. Like it does this for the total number of times you ask it to do it. So like if I call the VARG 4 times, even if I am um if I do this 4 times, even though there are four numbers I'm trying to add, it doesn't know to stop. Like it doesn't have to just keep trying to access a memory that you have no business trying to access. So it will just be causing undefined behaviors. That's just one thing you have to note. Side note. So going back to writing the function, I said the VARG returns the next argument. So from what you just learned from Topman in return value, since it returns the argument, I need to store it in a variable. I am going to define a variable as an integer. Let's say n here, and I'm going to say n is equal to VARG. So the VARG will access the next parameter and return it, and it will be stored in n. So since it is a sum function, I need this to be happening over and over again. So I'm going to use a loop. So I for I equals 0, I is less than, I want to add numbers. I want the addition to keep happening count number of times. So I want I to start from 0 up to count, and then increment I in, in this bracket. So I need this to be inside the loop, and each time I want to increment the sum by n. Sum plus equals n. Yes, and then return sum. So we're almost done. All you have to do now is to end. When after that's how periodic functions are. When you're finished using all the parameters for whatever you want to use them to, before leaving the function, you have to end. You have to close everything you opened with the start, and the end takes just one thing: the list, the VA list, VAG. So that's it. That's we're finished making our sum. We're finished making our sum periodic function. Eight, 9, 10. So I'll change the count to 10 since I want to find the sum of 10 numbers. And this should work. Yes, 55. The sum of 1 to 10 is 55. And that's it on periodic function. Oh, and okay, let me come back to this count. Why exactly do we need this first why do we need to write out this first parameter? Why can't I do something like this? Just call the sum function with just the ellipses. For one, the C standard does not allow that. If I try to do something like this, it's going to cause an error, even if I don't know, I make count. Even if I make count a local variable, like do something like this here. This the C standard does not allow this. You have to have at least one. Why did I use the count? It ties to something I said earlier about the VARG. The VARG does not know the VARG. I said it returns the number, like each parameter that I'm representing with the ellipsis. It's the VARG that used to pick each parameter, but it doesn't know when to stop. If I call VARG 5 times and I'm only trying to add 3 numbers, it won't stop after it has exhausted all the 3 numbers. It will keep trying to access a memory that it's garbage, that has garbage values, and then to give undefined behavior. Let me show you what I mean. Let's say, let me just make this 3, like 4, and I'm going to reduce the numbers here. I'm going to add just 2 numbers. So see, I'm trying to add 4 numbers. Like I is running from 0 to 4, so this will keep trying to happen. Will try to happen 4 times, and I am only giving it 2 numbers to add. If I run this, it will work. Why is it not working? Do I have to know this? So okay. Yeah, it works, but it gives a garbage value because the VARG does not know when to stop. So it will do the total number of times you ask it to, even if you only give it 2 numbers to run. So that's why this count was necessary to be able to um like dictate when the VARG should stop working. And that's it on periodic functions. Any questions? I'm done. Do you guys have any questions? I hope you got that.
So thank you very much. If anyone has any question on anything that we discussed tonight or something related to printf or relating to what's the right grammar now, please you may please go ahead and ask the question. Something you do not get, please go ahead and ask. And we'll attend to you. You may stop sharing, Aisha. Hello.
Does that mean we all got it? I try to finish quickly so that you have enough time to ask questions. If you have any issues with your project so far that you would like us to talk about, now is the time to talk.
Okay, so if you don't have questions, I'm gonna ask my own questions if you don't have questions. And okay, someone is saying okay, it's okay, it's being recorded. Actually we had network issues totally as well. But it's being recorded. It's being recorded. Uh, we have missed some parts. We missed some parts actually. But nonetheless, we can always switch chance and we'll help out. Help out. We'll make this easy. Okay. Any questions, please? Go ahead,
Yes, yeah. So
Josh.
please, how do I access the recorded, um, um, the recording? Because like I said, I only when I just came back now, I realized that she has finished the last thing. So I did not understand what all that she was talking about.
Okay. Yeah, we'll get it to you. You're likely going to see where you saw the link to join this meet. Yeah, if it was in Code Tribe, you'll see it there. If it was on Slack, you'll see there. We share the link to the recording. So if you see any link shared by Aisha or me, know that it's a link to the recording. The recording. Yeah. So
Okay,
you
okay. Thank you very much.
okay. All right. Someone
You
just
guys
okay. There's
kindly
a
fill out
form.
the feedback.
There's a feedback form posted for you in comment. So please do what to fill it. It's very important. You fill it. Very important you fill it. Okay. Now I'm thinking I should um. hmm, Okay. Let's do some task right now. We are going to be meeting again on Thursday, the 25th. Am I correct, Aisha? Please
Let me
confirm.
confirm.
Yeah, come and let me know. We'll be meeting again, and by then we want to give enough time to go through the resources and meet blockers, get some difficulties, so that the next time we meet, you have plenty of questions for us, and they will be aiding you. You know, you have to persevere. Actually, it's not going to be a sweet experience, but it's exciting when you are able to pay attention to what you're to learn from the experience. You know, when you go through it, you'll be glad you did. You submit yourself to it, to the training, to the drills, and to the and discipline yourself. You'll be glad you did. Have you got it now, Isha?
Yes, it's on the 24th, Thursday.
24th. Yeah. Okay.
So we
Yeah.
made it that time so that we expect that you guys would have gone further with your projects and you can ask questions if you're facing any.
All right. So let's play. I'm sharing my screen right now. Let's do some play. Actually, I'm thinking I should let you explain the underlying depth explanation what you did there since you didn't catch them all because of the glitch.
The periodic functions.
Yes. What do you think?
Hmm. Okay.
Will you do that?
Okay. I
All right.
can
So
go
let me
over it again.
all right. We'll have about 30 minutes to go. So that should be enough for you to just touch. All right. So I'll stop presenting to you. Go ahead, please.
Okay, so what I talked about earlier was periodic functions. I'm going to just remove this. Okay, to explain periodic functions, I wanted to I used a simple sum function, and if it's not periodic, just a normal sum function that returns the sum of three numbers, say A int B and C, A plus B and C. And if you want to be extra, you can just define a variable sum and say it's equal to this and return sum instead. And then if I try to find the sum of three numbers, um, 1, 2, 3, yeah, it just finds the sum easy, no problem. But the issue, I don't the only thing that the limitation to this type of function is that what if I wanted to find the sum of four numbers instead? Then I'll get an error. If I try 1, 2, 3, 4, I would have this error saying too many arguments in function sum. So that means this sum function can only take three arguments. If I want to add four numbers, I have to write another function that finds the sum of four numbers. And if it's 5, 6, 7, that's just two, it's limited. So that's where the concept of variadic functions come in. A variadic function, like I said earlier, is a function that can accept a variable number of arguments, meaning it can take as many arguments as you need it to. So if I made this sum function a variadic function, even if I try to call it with 4, 5, 6, as many as I want, then there shouldn't be any errors like this one. So how can I turn this into a periodic function? First thing you have to do is to change the prototype. Okay, the return value is the same. I'm using the same name, sum. But now the only difference in the signature is the how the parameters would be like. It takes the first parameter. I'm using count. I'll explain why later. And then it takes comma space 3.123, the ellipsis symbol. It's this ellipsis that denotes that the function is a periodic function. It's like that's where the other parameters, the as many parameters as you want is. Okay. But how exactly can I access the parameters that I'm seeing are inside these ellipses? You need some special functions that are in the standard argument library. So I included it in my file so I can use it. And what are those functions? To be able to access the parameters that I generated with the dot dot dot, because unlike before where the parameters were int A, int B, int C, I could just say sum equals A plus B plus C like this, and there was no issue. But now it's dot dot dot. It's not possible to just access it quite as easily as it was before. Now you have to use those special those special functions that are in the standard argument library. And the first thing you have to do is of those three are going to be inside the VA list. So I'm going to define a variable as a VA list. So I'm going to use ARGS since it contains all the arguments that are inside these ellipses. What's that? 1, 2, 3. Okay. So now this ARGS, it contains doing this is like making a container that contains all the arguments that I'm going to call the sum function with. And the next thing you have to do is to use the VA start function. VA start function is one of the functions in standard argument library, and it takes in two parameters. It takes the list, which I said here is the ARGS, the VA list, and also the first parameter in your periodic function, which is count. So it will take in ARGS and the count, the adds and count. And so what you have done here is first you defined a list, a container for all the parameters in your periodic function, and then you set a pointer to point to the value immediately after the first one. So what I did here is I set a pointer to point to the parameter that comes after the count. So looking here now, let's say I have finished implementing my periodic sum function and I'm trying to call it. The first argument you should take is the count. How many numbers am I trying to add? Four. Let's say I want to add four numbers, four, and then I'll list those numbers. So what I have done with this VA start is I have set a pointer to point to the parameter that comes immediately after the count. So looking here now, this is the count for. So you have a pointer that points to one, which is the parameter that comes immediately after the count. And once you have started, now you can start working with it. You have set up your periodic function, you have set up your container, you have set up all your parameters. So it's time to start picking them one by one and using them. So for this sum function, I'll just use a for loop. So for I equals 0, I is less than, I want to add count numbers. So I would want I to start from 0 up to count, and I will increment I. Right. And so here now, I need to start picking the numbers one by one. That's where something called the VARG comes in. VARG is one of those periodic functions that called your periodic function with, and then you start use VA start. VA start set a pointer to point to the first parameter immediately after the count, and then I'm picking each parameter one by one with the VARG, and it takes two things: the list and the data type of the parameter you're expecting. And if I run this, where is that coming from? Some person will do some four numbers. What's happening? VA list, ARGS, VA start. Count is 4 from I equals 0. Can you see where any issues? Can anyone see the problem? In some, it's the dots here. No, they are commas. Four numbers: 1, 2, 3, 4. Some N and I. View this. I started count. Okay, I didn't initialize the sum to 0.
Please, what is sum? Sum, okay. Right.
Yes, that was the issue. So sum started as a garbage value. Important to always increment to initialize something that you intend to increment later. Okay, so it's working now. And now because it's a periodic function, I can call it with as many parameters as I want. I can use this to add 10 numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And if I run this, yes, it gives 55. And how would this help you with your printf